Tonight on the Fanatic Forum, we welcome back author John Cosper, but we're not talking wrestling this time. Things may get a little spooky, but maybe we'll talk a little bit of wrestling. Plus, we've got a whole bunch of comics to talk about and other cool things like that. But first, we got to talk about this. Hey everybody, happy Friday and welcome to the Fanatic Forum. I'm your Fanatic and host, George Buehler. We got a fun one for you today here. Of course, we got all kinds of good comics to talk about, plus, some other little news, fun things here and there. But we get to welcome on our friend John Cosper back on the show here. But maybe this time we're not doing wrestling biographies. Maybe we're talking something a little more spooky here. So, because, John is a man of many talents and, apparently he does more than just wrestling books. We'll find out more about that here in a bit. So, hope everybody's having a good week, though, and you all had a very good holiday as well. So, or maybe you're celebrating today. Whatever time you get to celebrate with family is a good time there. So, hope you'll have a good one there. Of course, we've got, it's Black Friday. There's all kinds of good sales on there. So, and more importantly, tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. So, definitely go out there and support all your local businesses and your local comic shops out there. Speaking of, since I happen to work for a comic book store here, Clobbering Comics has got all kinds of sales going on all weekend. So check out their social media there. So lots of good deals there, especially if you're trying to get some stuff in the back stock. So yeah, of course, I've personally curated that back stock myself and, make sure everything's nice and orderly for you all here. So, all right. So enough of all that stuff here. We got a friend to bring on here. So once again, like I said, the man of many talents, writer, author, many things here in his man's wheelhouse here. John Cosper, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, George, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, sir. All right. So, yeah, like I said, we've got, you got lots of books here going on here. Of course, not just wrestling biographies. You've, delved into action, sci-fi, but you've got quite the horror stuff going on here.
Yeah, so. Which is really weird because, people talk about, I was a monster kid. I grew up in a Stephen King. I didn't grow up on any of that stuff. I was a big chicken. My main thing with horror growing up until Blair Witch, which is still one of my favorites, was basically the movies you see on Mystery Science Theater with or without the commentary. That was kind of my wheelhouse and everything, and certainly does spill over to a lot of the horror that I write. There's always a lot of humor involved. So.
That's cool, yeah, and that's true, definitely. Because I've read the first two in the Dead Park series, so yeah, and there's definitely those are zombie books, but there's definitely a lot of horror there and things, or a lot of humor in there. So, of course, yeah, I just love the first one, just basically inside of an abandoned mall,
Yeah,
that's good stuff here. But yeah, so of course, like I said, we've got kinds of books to talk about. So, but lots of other fun geeky stuff. The Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special just dropped on Disney Plus today.
No spoilers, no spoilers. I'm watching it as soon as this is over. So.
I no spoilers whatsoever. But it's only just 45 minutes in length, so it's actually it goes by fast, but it is wonderful. So. But yeah, all kinds of stuff. What else? The HBO Max has got the Christmas Story sequel, the Christmas Story Christmas. They've got
I haven't seen that one either. I've been watching Wednesday on Netflix, and that's been a ton of fun to watch. So
yeah, everybody's been saying good things about that one. So and I'm waiting next weekend because Netflix is probably gonna have Bullet Train, the Brad Pitt movie. So
that's a good one. That's a real good one. Yeah, enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that one in theaters. I missed it. So, but
my son and I went and caught it. Probably the last week it was in theater. Just spur of the moment went and saw it, and it was a blast. We loved it.
Cool. Yeah. Did you get to see Black Panther 2 yet?
I haven't seen that one yet. No.
It's worth seeing. Of course, it's a long movie. It doesn't feel.
What I hear, yeah.
there's a lot of stuff in there, but it's a bit of an emotional movie because of course it's.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of funeral, a lot of mourning going on. So like I said, it gets a bit emotional in some places there, but it's a solid movie. Really interesting, kind of the some precedents it sets for some future things in the MCU.
Yeah. It seems like Phase 4 has been about setting a lot of things up, and the thing I've enjoyed most is Valentina showing up and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I love everything she's doing with that character. So
I know, she's going to be a thorn in a lot of sides in the near future, and it's so funny to kind of almost reinvent Valentina because, of course, classic Marvel people know her as kind of almost like Nick Fury's girlfriend. With S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that. And then later on kind of getting reinvented in the 80s as basically being a traitor. So she's had a rocky history. And so kind of just the way that with her in the MCU, it's like, she's not a super spy anymore. She's just, maybe a government stooge or something. I don't know. So,
yeah.
So, we got a comment here already here. Dave Mattingly saying hello. Oh, dang, where'd he go? So, good evening, Fanatics. Good evening,
Dave.
sir. All right, yeah. So, so that's the Black Panther's, like I said, very much worth seeing. And then, the Guardian specials. It puts a warm place.
I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So, got some comics I want to show off here first, and then we will definitely talk about all of your new books coming out here. So, but some fun reads this week here, and one definitely I think will very much interest you. So. But a couple of new number ones here. A new Doctor Strange miniseries is coming out here. And this is done by artist Trad Moore. So it's going to be a very psychedelic. This is a wraparound cover, too. So I can show this up here. So, there's a few variant covers here. But this is, like I said, just a 4-issue miniseries here. It doesn't take place in any certain continuity. So if you don't read Doctor Strange currently, you can just jump right into this. But very psychedelic, almost poetic with some of the script here. So very cool stuff here. So the art on the front cover is very much the art you see inside. So I for Doctor Strange fans, or if you just like wonderful art weirdness here, highly recommend that one. Star Wars fans get a big double shot this week here. Because we have
very nice.
The first issue of Yoda here. Now I'm not sure if Yoda's just has a mini-series here, or if this is going to be a regular ongoing here, but this is awesome. We kind of get glimpses into Yoda's past and different adventures he was in, from time to time. So this is the makings of a fun book here. So the other thing here is this is Star Wars Revelations. This is basically a kind of a portal of things to come, so to speak, for the future of Star Wars universe. Because we are talking a little bit about the kind of the third part to the War of the Bounty Hunters trilogy that just started up, called The Hidden Empire, but also like what's going on in the regular Star Wars book, Vader, Dr. Aphra, so on and so forth. So it kind of gives you this preview of everything that's going on, and kind of coming up in the next next year or so, whatnot. So
I enjoyed. I read some of the Dr. Aphra series when that one came out, and read a little of her and the Darth Vader. And the characters, her and the characters around her are all just a lot of fun. Love the homicidal droids, and the seeing Black Kirsten show up in Boba Fett was pretty awesome. So
I know, it's kind of nice, almost waiting for her to show up somewhere, because it's like it's just a matter of time.
She's a character, right? With be something different, but still connected, and it's something that the diehards will connect with immediately, and I think can find a wider audience as well.
Oh yeah, and of course the thing that's been fun too is seeing a lot of Clone Wars characters pop up, and like Cad Bane showing up in real life, and we know that Thrawn is supposedly going to be in the Ahsoka Tano show coming up soon.
Yeah, so that was after the Boba Fett showing up in Mandalorian. My second favorite moment in anything was where is Grand Admiral Thrawn. So I was like, oh, here we go.
We just dropped a name. Like,
oh yeah. Yep.
So Dave's saying he likes the Doctor Strange cover as well. Yeah, Trad Moore has definitely got a very unique art style. And his wife, Heather, I guess, do the coloring as well. So just a beautiful, beautiful book. So
reminds me a little of Tim Sale, some of his stuff, just kind of what I just saw there. And he was always my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Rest in peace, Tim.
Yeah.
Let's see here. A couple more cool ones here. For Avengers fans here, this is, of course, going right into the upcoming Avengers Assemble event. And this has been kind of a nice payoff if you've been reading the Avengers forever, because this has been following Robbie Reyes, who's kind of transitioning to a new level of Ghost Rider called the All Rider, where literally he can grasp any vehicle, anything that moves, he can command it, whatever else. And this also helps him traverse throughout the multiverse and in their recruitment efforts to basically take down the Doctor Doom and his Masters of Evil that he's collected throughout the multiverse. That's also kind of being fronted by Mephisto. So there's lots of stuff going on here. But yeah, for Ghost Rider fans, Robbie Reyes fans, this is a really cool book. Yeah, so lots of big things in store for that young character. Let's see, some independent books here. I'd say this is a tough one here, but issue 300 G.I. Joe from IDW. And this is awesome because another wraparound.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Really have every Joe, every Cobra ever. And I mean, there's characters like newly invented from the comics. There's characters from like, here's the October Guard up here at the top, and like even there's the clown who only would appear in the cartoons.
Yeah,
stuff like that. So just
see Sergeant Slaughter in there as well. So
all Slaughter's in there too. Yeah, he's right
in the middle. Yeah, hard to miss him. So Torpedo. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you can just go through and just see which ones you can name, whatnot. But this is the final issue for IDW, and may or may not be the final issue for Larry Hama, who, of course, came back to the book years ago.
Oh, Larry Hama. Wow, that's you're talking my favorite comic creator right there, just because he created all the G.I. Joes. So
yeah. So, and of course, IDW is very upfront saying this is their final issue for their imprint. And they've enjoyed having. The fans here enjoyed having the imprint, having G.I. Joe as a property, and enjoyed having Larry on the book. Interestingly enough, though, we know that Image is getting the G.I. Joe license once again. They've had it before. They did a great job with it before, so looking forward to seeing it again. But the interesting thing, though, is that this book ends on a cliffhanger.
Of course.
So, that's the thing, though, is that when Larry ended his run with Marvel initially, it was a definitive end. Like, this is the, we're saluting here. G.I. Joe's not gone, but we're here to do that. No, he ends this on a cliffhanger. So it kind of makes me think that maybe Larry's going to come over to Image and keep the book going over there. So I don't know, but
he's the master, and if he wants to end it, it maybe just be like the end of Twin Peaks and leaving everybody hanging at the end of season 2. So
yeah, I know. So I would love to see Larry. I mean, he's not retiring anytime soon.
He is G.I. Joe. He is G.I. Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, he really is. Others are trying to write it, but the best always comes from Larry.
Yeah.
So Dave's comment says he thinks he sees Waldo in the G.I. Joe.
That's Zartan dressed as Waldo.
And actually, he probably saw Lifeline. So because Lifeline looks a lot like Waldo. He's all in red.
This is true. Yeah, this is true. Yeah. So, and the toboggan. Yep. Yeah. I get it.
Oh, let's see here. A couple from Image here. This is for fans of samurai stuff here. Hitomi has been an awesome book. This is the second issue here. This is a classic revenge story. A young girl, her parents and village were killed by samurais. And the interesting thing is that the samurai is an African American who was, basically kind of running the whole, group that came in and raided the village. And so she has vowed revenge on here, grew up learning the ways of the samurai, was the end of the first issue, was in a life or death situation and was saved by a black samurai. So, yeah. So now issue 2 is kind of dealing with that sort of complication in her whole plan. So, but yeah, just very just very just cool art here, just beautiful stuff here.
Yeah,
So
it's nice.
yeah, so it just anybody who likes samurai stuff, revenge stories, whatever else, yeah, good stuff here. Next one here from Image, issue 6 of 8 Billion Genies. I've been championing this book from the beginning. If you're not familiar with it, the concept is that everyone in the world gets their own personal genie, and everybody gets one wish.
Interesting.
So, first issue basically deals with essentially this event happening and what happens within the first 8 seconds of everybody getting a genie. And you go whatever you want, one wish. So, yeah, it's kind of funny because they start off with like, here's the population of the world, here's the population of genies, and then the first 8 seconds happens, and we lose 2 billion people.
Yeah.
In 8 seconds because people are making wishes and I don't know what's going on here, but it's like, okay. So each issue kind of like keeps furthering the timeline. So basically now we're dealing with the first 8 years since the genies first appeared with everybody. And so of course we're dealing with a group of characters kind of going through with, some of them have made their wishes, some of them haven't. They're kind of dealing with the world now and its multitude of changes. Because basically,
that's a cool concept. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really fun. Ryan Brown's art is amazing. And within the first 2 issues released, Amazon picked it up for a series. So expect that to come in the near future.
It's a cool enough idea. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that a series can even like broaden because the comic series is only going to be 8 issues. So we got 2 issues left before it's over. But the nice thing is that, a TV series can kind of like broaden some of the relationships and make it go a little bit longer than just the actual 8 issues. So
yeah.
I see a lot of potential to getting further, but just such a good book.
Yeah.
A new issue here, a brand new book here from Boom Entertainment, which Boom has been killing it with a lot of like horror books, with having the Power Rangers franchise. Just lots of good stuff coming out of here. So this is Jason Aaron, of course, well-known writer for Thor, currently on the Avengers. And this is a post-apocalyptic book, Once Upon a Time at the End of the World. We meet a young girl who's been traversing through the apocalypse. We don't know exactly what happened, but there's a lot of flooding that's going on. The sun doesn't really shine, and there's all these like weird mutant monsters everywhere too. So lots of things to go through.
Little everything. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of everything. And so basically, a young lady gets upon a kind of like fortress sort of house thing, and the person inside ends up rescuing her, and it's basically a young man about her same age, and they decide to kind of now traverse this world together, so to speak. She being extremely experienced in what's going on, and he's never actually been outside. So this should be fun.
Yep.
And there's a funny scene too where he gets. Let's see here. I gotta find it. He gets a little over prepared in his journey to the outer world here. Let's see here. Yeah. See an example right here where he's got this giant backpack on here full of stuff. Yeah. So, anyways, I was really enjoyed it. It's got got a lot of humor in there, a lot of other stuff here. So yeah, lots of fun. And last but not least, and this is the book that I think you would really appreciate, being a fellow fan here. But this was just released this week. The Illustrated Al. Basically, this is the songs of Weird Al Yankovic, interpreted by a multitude of artists.
I've been hearing about this for a while. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great.
This is trigger happy. Let's see here. We turn to another one here. Oh, this is Since You've Been Gone. So let's see here. Yeah. Albuquerque's in here.
Oh, man. Yeah.
There we go. Everything You Know Is Wrong. Let's see. Dare to Be Stupid. Yes, yeah, here you go. Yeah, Dare to Be Stupid right here in the front.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So the list goes on and on, but each song has a different artist, or a lot of times you'll get like these, little drawings here or paintings here or whatnot that
Mhm.
also represent like the bigger hits or the
Right,
parodies.
right.
So they don't. So what actually they don't do is cover the parodies in here. Those are just like just the paintings there. So you see like
Mhm.
Fat and Eat It, and,
Mhm.
Amish Paradise right here. But yeah, there are lots of alternate covers for this. Mike and Laura Allred do a great cover. So yeah, lots of the various covers in your comic shop, especially if you order them, will have access to which ones are available. So of course that's in also regular bookstores, but yeah, it's for any Weird
Yeah,
Al
yeah.
fan.
I say you and I saw each other at the Weird Al show, and it was the really ridiculously ill-advised vanity tour, and it's basically highlighting all the songs in between the parodies that I know you had to appreciate as much as I did. My kids were hearing a lot of those songs for the very first time, and Albuquerque just blew them away. I mean, that was one of the greatest concert closers I ever heard. So,
Oh my god, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's one of my all-time favorite Al songs anyway.
Mhm.
Um, there was, one of his parodies that is kind of a lesser known one, but always one of my favorites is King of Suede, which is a parody of the Police's King of Pain. So
Mhm.
love that song too, but he doesn't perform that one live as
Mhm.
often. But yeah, it's
Yeah. I got to hear
yeah,
Melanie. That was one of my all-time favorites, and
I know.
my kids were pulling for Christmas at Ground Zero, and they were rather traumatized by the night Santa went crazy. So,
Yeah. Personally, I like that one. I mean, Christmas at Ground Zero is a classic, but I like The Night Santa Went Crazy
I
even a
do
little bit
too. I
better.
do too. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also in the book. Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
yeah. So that was, I mean, and I took my nephew. That was his first concert.
Mm.
He's a Weird Al fan, but he's, of course, not as deep. So that was kind of like, I had to explain him, like, all right, look, most of these songs that they're going to be playing tonight are not the hits. It's some of this, more original stuff.
Mhm.
But I was surprised with actually him doing like the smooth jazz Dare to Be Stupid, which that was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah.
Oh, Dave saying there's a great podcast called The Weird Algorithm covering a song every week in order of release.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm adding that to my podcast list now. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know
He had
this.
a great episode with Gilbert Gottfried at one time too, which was great, and it was fun listening to Al keeping it clean, even though Gilbert was trying to taunt him into going blue, which Al won't do, but it was fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Yes, I'm gonna have to check this out. Definitely. I did not. Every now and then I'll get, I'll find out like somebody's got a podcast. Like, oh, because I'm a big fan of The Office, and of course there's like Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey
Mhm.
have the Office
Yep.
Ladies podcast. So I'm like, oh yes, I binged that one. And then of course Conan. Of course Jim Cornette has got 2 podcasts.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
Fly on the Wall with Dana Carvey and David Spade is really good too. It's a
ooh,
deep
oh
dive
yeah,
for SNL fans. Yeah.
I bet
Um,
that would be.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
lots of fun. Yeah, mostly talking about themselves with their guests, but a lot of great. I mean, they've had Jim Downey, Al Franken, Lauren Michaels, a lot of cast members. They've had some. They had Paul McCartney. So they've had musical hosts, musical guests, as well as cast members and past hosts and everything. So just so
That
much
was
ground to explore. I mean, 40, are almost at 50 years now on that show. So
no kidding.
crazy to
That's
think
crazy.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
Somebody
still
posted
watch
too.
it?
I just shared it on Facebook last night. It was from I think in 91, 92, but it was they start out with Susan Day was the host. So they're doing the Partridge Family. You got Dana
Oh
Carvey
yeah,
and David Spade, Siobhan Fallon, and Julia Sweeney, and then Chris Farley's over here as their manager. And then
yeah.
Melanie Hutzel comes on as Jan Brady, and it ends up with a battle of the bands with Beth Cahill and Victoria Jackson, Kevin Nealon, Adam Sandler, and Rob Schneider coming in as the Brady Bunch and having a battle of the bands. And it's one of the greatest sketches I've ever seen. It was just so funny.
Yeah, it was. I remember that one too, and yeah, I did see one kind of floating around. So, yeah, do you still watch the show?
I catch it every now and then. I actually haven't caught any of it this season. Every now and then they still pull out something that's just like that. That's an all-time instant classic right there. I'm trying to think. There was one last season that really got me. That was so good. And every Halloween, of course, we watch David Pumpkins because it's just
Well,
bizarro.
David has popped up this Halloween.
Yeah. Oh, I remember
So-
what it was. It was the one with Billie Eilish and Kate McKinnon, the commercial for the hotel.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That one was pretty epic. So
Yeah, the new cast members. There's let's say that we got like 4, I think, new cast members. But
Forward, yeah.
yeah, they're starting off hot. There's one. There's like a couple of guys. Like there's one dude. He shows up in like Weekend Update a lot. He's really funny, and one's more all involved with sketches. There's one girl. Can't remember her name. I'm terrible with the names until they kind of like get in for about a year or so. But there's one new cast member. She is like the second coming of Melissa McCarthy, except like if you add in a little more Chris Farley into her. She is hilarious. I'm like, dude, please stay on, because like you're gonna keep growing, and your fan base is gonna start growing and catching on to what you're doing. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna be hot.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other cast members who've stuck on are some of like the newer, like Bowen Yang, who's of course like only been on for a couple seasons. I mean, that dude's just been killing it from the beginning. So
yeah, he caught on pretty quick. So I think my favorite thing is watching him do Yao Ming. Just with the extended arms and everything. It's just it cracks me up. Yeah.
The bit he did on Weekend Update where he was the iceberg that the Titanic ran into.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Very naturally funny guy. Yeah.
Well, before we go any further, let me take a short break here for our sponsor, Comic Books for Kids. And we get back here, we got some books to talk about here. We got to plug your stuff here.
Sounds good.
All right, right back.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
All right, we are back here with John Cosper here, and we've got a lot of books to talk about here because, of course, we've had you on before talking about your wrestling books here and different biographies, but you've got other things that you write aside from wrestling books here. So, like I said, you've done some action, you've done, some sci-fi, you've done children's books. Of course, I love Clive the Zombies.
Yeah. Clive the Zombie Puppet. I'll give his background story. So I was making short films for a long while. Got married, started having kids, and didn't want to be spending a lot of time running around with actors when my wife's taking care of babies at home. So I moved into making movies with puppets, and I was picking up. There was a particular style of puppet. There's a company called Puppet Productions used to make, and I'm looking for different puppets similar to that. And I find this Clive the Zombie Puppet that a comedian up in Chicago had created and put up on eBay. And he actually fit with the style of the puppets I was looking with. So I started kind of kicking around. What are some ideas? If I got a zombie puppet, spent the money on this zombie puppet, what kind of things? And so I started writing some things. The auction actually didn't sell. I contacted him. We made a deal and I bought the puppet. And they're all up on deadparkbooks.com, which is my fiction site, and or also on my YouTube channel. But if you just go to YouTube and search for Clive the Zombie, you'll find them.
Yeah, like I say, here's your website here, deadparkbooks.com. Yeah, because there's a tab over there for like little movies and whatnot. Yeah, Clive's right there. So
Yep.
Anywho, but so of course here, like I said, Dead Park Books. You got your logo up here for you. Trying to plug our faces everywhere here.
That's all right.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, of course you can visit there and get access to all the books you've got through your imprint, not just the horror stuff there, but of course you've got like I said, several other genres here. But we're here to talk about some spooky books here first here. So you've got a couple of new releases here. First off, we've got the Girl Most Likely to Kill You.
Yeah, this is
so
more.
Tell us what
it's a little more. It's more thriller than it is horror. But and actually, the new releases, the two that just came out, and the third one coming, these are all older stories I've had sitting around actually in screenplay format for years and years. My earlier aspirations was I wanted to be a screenwriter, and they've been sitting in mothballs they've all been sitting in mothballs for at least a decade since the last time I touched them. But last fall I went back and pulled out 3 of them. This being one of them. And the basic premise is, it's a guy who, on prom night, he went with his best friend. He was going to tell her that night that he was in love with it. She vanishes, disappears. So 20 years later, she shows back up, just mysteriously shows back up in his life and everything's all great and everything. But his students are like, dude, we think there's something up with your girlfriend. We think she might be the world's most notorious assassin.
Oh, no.
The morning after he meets her, his car blows up mysteriously. People are cornering him in the bathroom, threatening to murder him. There are people chasing him with guns and everything. And of course, she's just playing it all up. No. I was a secretary working overseas for the State Department, but there's definitely something up with that. So more of a thriller, romantic, certainly comedy type story, but one that's gotten some raves from everybody who's read it. Actually reconnected with a high school friend of mine who absolutely loved it. Oddly enough, I wasn't sure this one, had anything other than a one-off, but actually last night kind of came up with an idea for a sequel. So people need to read this one so I can justify writing a second one, because I've got another great story to tell with this universe. Yeah.
That sounds fun. Yeah, kind of. For me, like the premise kind of felt like a vibe. It was like Mr. and Mrs. Smith meets Mystery Date, or something like those lines.
Yeah. Mystery Date's one of my favorite movies too. I love that one. So yeah, classic. Yeah, but yeah, definitely. There's something. It was a lot of fun. So actually, someone inspired by a friend of mine who. She worked for the military, and she did something secret, and she was fluent in lots of foreign languages, and it was all very illicit. My friends and I are like, yeah, either she's killing people or she's telling people who to go kill. So
John Pike is on here saying howdy. Good to see you, sir. Hey, folks, since we're a part of the Back of the Cereal Box Network here, I got to plug my friends here, because tomorrow morning, Back of the Cereal Box celebrates 2 years on the air and 100 episodes in the same episode. So
that's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, and maybe I'll be getting up early in the morning and showing up for a little bit too. So
there you go.
All right. Next book, and of course, this one's already out too. And I love the concept of this one here: Zombies of Oz.
Yeah, this was a throwaway that I put up on Facebook. I had this idea, and I think I've got the post saved. It was like, hey, we talk about the Kentucky independent film community, which is wonderful, and I just posted this thing. It's like, all right, here's the premise. So, Dorothy's a juvenile delinquent. Scarecrow is a crazy redneck with a gun. You got a cyborg and you got a shell-shocked soldier dealing with a zombie apocalypse, and you call it Zombies of Oz. And somebody got on and said, hey, if you write it, I'll make it. Well, it's a lot easier to say it than do it. It's difficult to mount a movie. And there's just some of the set pieces that I created. But, again, this one sat around in mothballs for a long time, and I finally pulled it back out. And this is definitely, it's for those who like zombies, who like a lot of action, a lot of craziness. It was a lot of fun. The reason she's a redhead on the cover is actually Ronnie Jonah, the former OVW wrestler turned indie film star. Recently watched her. She's going to kill me. But I did recently watch her in Shark Exorcist. But she was the one that we were talking with to play Dorothy. So I left her a redhead in honor of Ronnie. Ronnie's always been great to me, and has always pitched in when I've got little film projects of my own. So, but yeah, this is a ton of fun. Just complete bonkers. Check your brain at the front page. You're just going to have a wild ride.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, and this particular Dorothy is not from Kansas. She's from the mean streets of Detroit.
She is. Yes, she is. So she has been sent to Kansas because nobody back home can handle her. They're hoping that Aunt Em and Uncle Henry can talk some sense into her, as we meet her, she's ending the career of a potential 5-star football recruit. There's this poor kid trying to hit on her, and she basically just, he's probably gets killed by the zombies, early on in the apocalypse anyway, but he might have had a better chance if she hadn't maimed him. So
and of course, like I said earlier, both these books are available at deadparkbooks.com.
Yes,
so buy them, and there are many other books to choose from aside from these two. But the next thing, of course, we got to talk about, you've got some up and coming stuff here. And this one's my personal favorite because you've had the Dead Park series starting with, Dead Park Plaza and then
the shops at Dead Park.
Yeah. And then coming next month, we've got Dead Park Records.
Yep. This one as well started out as a screenplay, and it was a completely separate story. Again, Dead Park didn't exist till 2 years ago when I got the idea to take these three. I had 3 stories about basically horror stories that take place in a modern office building. And
Yeah.
that led to Dead Park Plaza. And basically, there's this place called it's the locals call it Dead Park. It's actually called Lead Park. It used to be a munitions plant for the military. They bulldozed it. They built an office building. They built a shopping mall. They built a neighborhood. And strange things go on in the office building. And it turns out in the sequel, strange things go on at the mall as well. So this one evolved into basically it's a Dead Park Plaza story. There is a record company based at Dead Park. And the story takes place far away from Dead Park, actually, and involves a young man who's an aspiring musician. He's pushing that age of 30, and the young guys in his band kick him out because they want to go a different direction. He's losing hope that his dream's ever going to come true. His buddy, the local promoter, calls him in, says, "Hey, I got a big act in town this week, and they need somebody to handle the writer agreement." Now, for those who are not familiar with it, the writer agreement is the second contract you have to sign when you bring an artist into town. It tells you Jennifer Lopez has to have all white carpeting, all white walls, all white furniture. It tells you what alcohol Guns N' Roses needs backstage, what vegetarian diets the Monkees ate, and so forth and so on and everything.
Ozzy Osbourne gets the brown M&Ms.
There you go. Yeah. That's a great story. Which I love telling. That's a deep dive for another day with the brown M&Ms. But a friend of mine once told me that there is another side to the writer agreement, and that there's often unspoken things that somebody has to go get. We're talking drugs, we're talking hookers, we're talking that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
which led to the idea where the guy comes in, he talks to the executive who happens to be from Dead Park Records and tells him, "I understand that you're an artist. I can give you a recording deal. I don't need to hear your demo. All I need you to do is take this gun, take this photograph, go to this address, and kill this girl."
Oh my God!
So it's a kind of a Faustian type thing. You go and you murder this girl, and we'll give you a record contract. And of course, Dead Park is involved. There's some other little subplots and everything, and there might be some monsters appearing here and there. And as it turns out, this guy's offered this deal to about every other artist in town. So everybody is out trying to murder this girl, and nobody's really quite sure why. So, but it does tie in with actually the first two books and some stories, and actually this one kind of sets up some stories that'll be coming in the fourth book next year, which will be Dead Park Estates. We have to dive in the neighborhood, right? So there we go.
Of course, yeah. Yep. I mean, that's the other part of it. So. Oh, that's awesome! I look forward to that one because, like I said, that's been a fun series. I mean, I've been a Resident Evil fan since the word go, so it kind of gives you a little bit of that vibe. There's a lot of humor, in there as well. And also kind of what's the Dead Rising game series? Like the first one takes place in the mall, whatnot, but basically. You see there's like a conspiracy behind the zombies and stuff like that. So, and there's a crunch on the media, and your character's a photographer. So it for fans of like a lot of the survival horror, but you like a little bit levity in it as well. Yeah, it's all those kind of jobs.
It's got a little of everything too. I mean, the first book, there's vampires, and there's whether there's the one office that goes completely tribal, and the Lord of the Flies type parody. There's a little bit of occult cannibalism going on. Second book, there's some cameos by cryptids. Actually, cryptids become more involved in later books as well, particularly Dead Park Estates. There's a big payoff with that. There's the killer puppet at the mall. There's a killer doll coming down the road. There's just all kinds of strange things. So there's going to be a connection too in the fourth book to one of my other books as well. So but it's just been a lot. It's just kind of a big sandbox to play in, and it keeps growing. I really thought it was going to be 3 books. It's now looking like 5 or 6 down the road. So it's my sandbox. I'm having fun playing with it, and the folks that have come along for the ride, certainly I'm glad they're enjoying it. So.
Yeah, that's good. And of course, I mean, that's got to be a lot of stuff to juggle. I mean, obviously, you've got the world down, and what things are, but of course, getting all the characters, getting other connections, making references to past things there. That's got to be a lot of organization going on.
Not really. No, it's got kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but I don't have any kind of, there's no Bible to the whole thing. I'm not very good at that, but I mean, I wrote comedy for years, and comedy is about making connections, and excuse me. Like I said, what happens at the end of this book actually dovetails in and ties right back into a story from the first book. And it created what happens there actually created a whole new story to tell tying back into the first book. They completely came out of nowhere and completely surprised me. And things continue to kind of crop up, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, I can make this connection here, this connection here. And there's still some things I'm trying to piece together. I'm still trying to figure out what the heck's going on there, the same as everybody else, but starting to get a clearer picture of that. So
Cool. I look forward to all that. So yeah, of course, check out deadparkbooks.com. Find all of the new releases here. Girl Most Likely to Kill You, Zombies of Oz, and all your other books there, and the previous Dead Park series books. Of course, Dead Park Records coming next month. But yeah, so all sorts of stuff.
Lots of stuff. Yeah. Say support local, support indie artists. If you go to my website and shop, you can use the coupon code Black Friday and save 20% through next Tuesday. And I got the same coupon code going over on Eat Sleep Wrestle as well, Black Friday. Or if you go tomorrow and Saturday, use coupon code SMALL, you can save 25%. So support small businesses. Yep.
Actually, and speaking of small business, my buddy Andre on here, so saying sounds awesome. So hopefully he's talking about all your books there.
Thanks, Andre. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, your eatsleepwrestle.com. That's where we talk about all your other wrestling books up there. And you've got some stuff coming up in the near future. Anything we can talk about, or anything you can leak out here?
Dean Hill, the voice of OVW, the voice of the Louisville Gardens. It's see you at ringside, my life in rocking, rolling, and wrestling. It's a great memoir. It kind of came about. Dean kind of jokingly put a post up, "Hey, maybe you could write my story one day." And I emailed him. I said, "I would love to write your story." He's not an easy guy to work with, and I don't say that because he's an easy, great guy to get along with, but he's so humble. It's hard to get him to brag on himself. This guy was a hero cop with the Louisville Police Department. A lot of folks in the Louisville area who grew up going to Jefferson County Public Schools, they remember Street Heat, the anti-drug band that he was in for a number of years. You probably saw him working, security at the Louisville Gardens. He has incredible stories about Prince, about Ray Charles, about the Rolling Stones, and Frank Sinatra, Aerosmith. Met all of these guys. What's funny is he's got a couple of things at home. He's got framed, all of these backstage all access passes he had to all the concerts. You know what the one is he points to? Loves to point to, and make sure you see it. Milli Vanilli. So that's Dean's just got a lot of great stories
with those cats. Yeah.
So he's got a lot of great stories, and of course there's some wrestling stories as well. And he'll admit he wasn't involved in a lot of the training, a lot of backs. He came in, he did his job, and he left. But he had some angles that he worked. There was wrestling Jesse Goddard's in the bunny suit. He worked the Moondogs with Memphis. There was the incident the night they shaved his mustache, and we cover all that stuff. And just a lot of great funny anecdotes and stuff. And was it Rip Rogers told me not too long ago, it was like, OVW is like, we had the world's tallest announcer and we had the world's largest manager in Kenny Bolins. We did everything backwards at OVW. It worked. They created a generation of legends at OVW too. So
yeah, they sure did. And the shortest owner, because Danny Davis is I don't want to bash on the guy, but he's shorter than I am.
Yeah, I wouldn't toy with him. He's old school, and he'll twist you in knots. So same as
he'll stretch me for sure.
Yeah. Those guys from Jackson, Tennessee, man, you got to watch out for them. So.
Yeah. So of course, you guys, lots of other stuff coming up there. Of course, you've got your biographies now. Your Madman Pondo biography has been out for a little bit now. The updated Bluegrass Brawlers, the anniversary edition. So just go to John's website. Buy a lot of books because
there you go. Yep. I'm giving you a discount code. Yeah, like I said, if you use small this weekend on Eat Sleep Wrestle, you get 25% off. And if you use Black Friday on either one of the websites, it'll get you 20% off. And that's good through the end of the month.
There you go, man. So so all kinds of good things going on here. So, but trying to think what else geek stuff going on here. Of course, I know you're a Star Wars fan. Have you been watching Andor?
I have been watching Andor. Yeah, I've enjoyed Andor.
Yeah, I have too. I have not watched the finale yet, so I need to.
Excellent payoff to the series. It was really good. I need to go back and watch it again. But I loved Andor. I loved Obi-Wan when it was on. I loved She-Hulk. She-Hulk was a ton of fun.
Yes. Yeah, I was just talking to some ladies about She-Hulk today at the shop, and yeah, they were, of course, they're, oh, is it fairly accurate to the show, to how it is in the books? Like, oh yeah. I said, it's kind of it's the nice thing, but it's the unfortunate thing that she was basically talking about a lot of women's issues and women in the workplace issues because she's a professional and all that sort of stuff like that. And unfortunately, very little has changed from today because we're still talking about those issues. But then, the other commentary and the fourth wall breaking and stuff like that. So yeah, that's all her.
It was so much fun. Yeah, and I thought Tatiana Maslany, she's phenomenal. She was a great pick to play that part, and every bit of the episode with Wong and the girl from, I can't remember the character's name. That was just with a Y, but not where you think it is. I can't remember her name. Oh my gosh, she was funny. Madison, that's it. Yes.
Yeah, and people wanting her to get her own show. Her and Wongers.
We just need a little bit of her. Yeah, she doesn't need her own show, but whenever we get Wong, we need a minute or two of her. They're besties now, so
yeah, I think so. Madison may pop up later. Andre's got a joke for us here, saying, "Spoiler alert: Andor died in Rogue One."
Oh my gosh, now I can't watch Rogue One. What the heck?
Yeah, next thing you're going to tell me is that there's going to be a sequel coming up to Rogue One.
Yeah, right. Picking up right where it left off. So if I went plugged in and charging my laptop, I'd take you over and show you my Rogue One shelf. It's I probably got more Rogue One than any other Star Wars movie. So, but
nice.
My gosh, that was such a great movie.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad to I've been fascinated with this whole world and time period of right as basically kind of the birth of the rebellion and right before we literally go into the original Star Wars. And so I love the dating 5 years before the Battle of Yavin 5 or Yavin 4 or something like that. So Yavin 4.
Yavin 4, I think. Yep.
And so I love how we're dating that sort of thing like that. But so of course we know we're going to get a second season of Andor. We were initially not expecting that because we're thinking a 12 episode series. That's quite long, and they're hour-long episodes. Like, okay, we're getting a lot of stuff here, but no, we get a second season of this stuff. Here, so.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I know. And of course, we know we got more Mandalorian coming up, but lots of other. Because I know they're starting to talk a little bit more about the Acolyte coming up, which the word is still mum about what exactly that show is. So
yeah.
Oh, hey. Andre's saying we're not going to kill you on this one. Rogue One was the best Star Wars movie.
No, certainly not going to kill you on that opinion. I put it up there. It's my third favorite. So it's just.
I would go as far as it's my second. I'm still Empire still my first favorite, but Rogue One shot up there real quick.
Yeah, and I'll give you a controversial opinion. I would put Jedi at 4, and I would put Solo up there at 5. I love Solo. So. But what do I know? I love Attack of the Clones. I loved Attack of the Clones when it came out, and I still love it. So
Yeah. Solo is one I've kind of had to revisit a couple of times, and the more I see it, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have fun with it. So don't try not to take it too much as canon. It's kind of more along the lines of like, okay, we want to put in all these little things for the fans, but we have to okay, he has to get the ship and he has to meet Chewie, and then we have to. We realize the ship doesn't look the same as it does in the other movies, so we have to make it look like it does here, and then we got to do the race, and then all that. So we had all the points up there, but it's still it was a great
heist story, and it's I love the film noir genre, and Emilia Clarke, you could have ripped her out of that and put her in Maltese Falcon or any of those old. I mean, she was the ultimate femme fatale in space. Donald Glover is Lando Calrissian. That was just inspired. Come on, I want more Lando with Donald Glover. So I'm getting Donald Glover in the Community movie. I can't wait. So
Of course, I think what the Solo movie actually did accomplish, though, is kind of bringing back the Crimson Dawn, and then. Of course, they've kind of come into the comics where now basically the Crimson Dawn are operating in the time between Empire and Return of the Jedi in the comics, and where they're trying to overthrow the Emperor. So, and Lady Kira, she returns.
There's more Kira story to tell. So, and I would love to see her come back and tell it because she was great.
Yeah. Andre is saying that it was a great Ocean's 11 in space.
It was. It's funny. I met Timothy Zahn at Phantom Fest in Louisville a number of years ago. It was right before his book Scoundrels came out, and he had a little postcard about it, and I saw it. I was like, "Is that your next book?" And he just lit up like a kid. It's like, "You want to hear the pitch?" It's like, it's Star Wars meets Ocean's 11 with Han and Lando and Chewie, and it was a great book too. So for me, it was kind of like that book, the closest we'll get to that book actually being made into a movie. So,
That's cool.
those are the cool things about meeting him was he's a geek like us. He loves Star Wars like us. He created Thrawn. He created Mara Jade. I remember the guys who were doing was it Star Wars in 30 minutes or less or 60 minutes or less over at the Bardstown. They were performing that at Phantom Fest, and he went and watched it twice. Just because he was a fan, to support him. So, and they were thrilled. Timothy Zahn's in here watching the show with us. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, of course, lots of, we got, we're kind of at the end of our Marvel rope for the year because Black Panther, Wakanda Forever marked the cinematic end for the MCU for Phase 4, and then the Guardians Christmas special was released today. That's kind of like the last for the Disney Plus stuff. So we gotta wait till, I know Ant-Man's in February. I don't know when our first series is though for next year.
I think Guardians is in May. Volume 3. May. Yeah. Not sure what else. Deadpool's fall of 2024, I think. I don't know.
24. Yeah.
And we get Hugh Jackman in it, so it's just gonna be great.
And I was convinced that when we get to the Avengers Secret Wars, we're dealing with a lot of multiversal stuff. And I was like, okay, that would be awesome. And we'll see Hugh Jackman one more time as Wolverine. No, Deadpool's entrance into the MCU, he's bringing Jack with him. I'm like,
it's like Ryan Reynolds is playing with Disney money now, so it's like, Hugh, you want to do it one more time? Yeah, okay. So hey, it was bound to happen. I'm glad we get to see it. So, I mean, think of all the great, not just in comic books and movies and stuff, but the great matchups that we never got to see, that never, people talk about, the Hogan Flair in their prime or something like that in the wrestling world. I mean, we get Hugh Jackman and we get Ryan Reynolds together as Wolverine and Deadpool. So it's a dream come true right there. So.
Yeah, and of course, if you know that they're friends in real life, so they're always trolling each other and making little comments and stuff like that. So that's going to be an entertaining movie. So we gotta wait for that one. But so I gotta look at my MCU calendar for next year because I think we'll get like 4 movies next year. We'll get like a bunch of movies and even more on the series. I know Ironheart, who we meet in Black Panther 2, she's got a series coming up next year, and I think the X-Men 97 animated series next year.
Yeah, I think that's picking back up. The only one I didn't get into was the Ms. Marvel. The Ms. Marvel didn't really click with me. It just felt a little more kiddie or something like that. Other than that, I mean, I've enjoyed all the Marvel series. I need to go back and watch Hawkeye again. I mean, Hawkeye to me was had a little Deadpool in it with the Christmas vibe, and
it is a whole lot of fun.
And the Rogers the musical bits.
Ms. Marvel was enjoyable. It is definitely for a younger adult audience, but it's still it's a very kind of bright. It's a nice kind of contrast to some of the darker stuff. It's a little bit more brighter series. Of course, the girl that plays Kamala Khan, she's fantastic. And of course, if you're a fan of Captain Marvel, it does kind of lead you into the Marvels. That's one of the other movies for next year.
That's coming out next year. Yeah, there you go. There's one.
So the series does kind of lead you into how she's going to factor into that movie. So you get a little bit of stuff there. So like I said, it's a fun series. I recommend checking it out. But if you're wanting to it's going to be too much for older guy. I've watched my wife. We enjoy it. So but it's actually it's nice if you want to get like a more authentic look into the life of a Pakistani American or actually people who actually are still living in Pakistan, and then a little bit of their history as well. So it's a nice look into that, and coming from a more authentic place, kind of like how Moon Knight handled Egypt and Egyptology.
That was a good series too. That was I watched that first episode 4 or 5 times, going, "What the heck is going on here?" But that was Oscar Isaac needs to get some Emmy buzz on that. My gosh, he was great, just great.
I know it, and that was fun for Moon Knight fans because you kind of got a little bit of everything. because some of the, depending on who's writing Moon Knight, because when they first introduced him, he's just a superhero guy in a white suit with a lot of Egypt, gimmick going on. And then as the series, each, different iteration has progressed, different writers have certainly explored more of the personas, because originally it was just kind of like, okay, those are just like different parts he plays, to put on different disguises, kind of like how Bruce Wayne would put on his cab driver disguise. And then they kind of like dug further. It was like, no, those are actually personas of his own psyche, and they kind of got into what they originally called multiple personality disorder, now dissociative identity disorder.
Right.
So they kind of initially started getting to that in the later in the 80s, and then you get into kind of the Jeff Lemire run, which the show very heavily borrowed from. Basically, the whole point where he's like in the hospital and you're playing with what's real, what isn't, and then we go into the underworld, the Egyptian underworld sort of thing like that. That's all from the Lemire run. So if you're interested in checking that out, that's been picked up in trades and whatnot. So you just look up Moon Knight and Jeff Lemire, and there you go. The Mr. Knight, the look comes from Warren Ellis's brief run. He did only about 6 issues, but he gave us, a very dapper dressed Moon Knight. They kind of stuck him with that the Steven persona, like just kind of give him his own suit to kind of fit the character. But usually in the comics, he wears that when he wants to appear intimidating, but not like he's actually there to like beat your face in. More of kind of like, maybe he's, taking a guest and they're coming to him with a problem, or he has to, approach someone in an intimidating way or something like that, but still have to show a bit of formality. So that's kind of a new thing he's doing now. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, but to repurpose it the way they did for the show, I thought was fun too. So Moon Knight can get to be a bit of a twisty book if you let it. So
yeah, it was a twisty series. Like I said, I watched that first episode a couple of times. Like, I don't know what's going on. This is fun, and it was a great series.
Yeah, I love it. So Andre saying that Moon Knight was awesome. We got Blade coming. Of course, we got a couple of years for that one.
Yep.
We need Ghost Rider and Rise of the Midnight Suns. So yeah, I'm hoping that the Blade movie does kind of get more into. We got a nice little taste with the Werewolf by Night. Disney Plus
that was good. Yeah.
So
that was good.
That's a nice little entry there into the more MonsterVerse stuff. Blade, I think, is going to be a much deeper dive into that sort of thing. But yeah, there's a whole lot of great monster characters. We've seen Ghost Rider in other iterations, but we can get back to basics a little bit more, a little less Nicolas Cage craziness and more just like, just let's get to the character itself, because Johnny Blaze deserves better. So but yeah, there are lots of other good monster characters within the MCU. So lots of good fun stuff to take care of there. So we'll see what's next. I know we've got this is going to be the kind of the multiversal saga for the movies and whatnot. So we're kind of in the rebuilding stage, and now I think with Ant-Man things are going to start getting weird. So I like that.
It's sit back and enjoy the ride and quit asking when are the mutants going to come around. So they're coming around.
From what we've seen in some iterations, they're already here. So I won't spoil too much more for you there, but we'll leave that dangling participle there for you. Well, man, it's been good having you on here as always. I'm very happy to have you on.
Hey, it's always good to catch up with you, George.
You too, sir. Of course, you definitely got to check out Dead Park Books. Of course, let me get the banners up here. I got a lot of. I'm my own producer over here. DeadParkBooks.com is where we can find the books we were talking about earlier. Let's see, bring this up here. Girl Most Likely to Kill You. Zombies of Oz, which of course both those sound fun too. Girl Most Likely to Kill You being more of a thriller, where Zombies of Oz is definitely a zombie send up of Wizard of Oz. And
absolutely.
Not only is Dorothy not in Kansas, but Kansas isn't even she's in Kansas, but she's not from Kansas anymore. So
right.
A much more rough and tumble Dorothy here. And then coming next month here, Dead Park Records here in your Dead Park series. So
part 3.
Yeah, all sorts of good stuff here coming up here. So yeah, so check out Dead Park Books. Of course, you got Black Friday discounts on there, and then eatsleepwrestle.com for all the wrestling biographies that John does as well. Which, if you're a wrestling fan, you got to check out. So it's just some great history stuff there about just certain eras, especially if you're a Louisville resident or the Louisville area. Got a lot of Louisville wrestling history on there, but you've got a lot of what we would see as maybe obscure characters, but some very important figures in the history of wrestling. So
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of historical biographies. I actually published 4 books this past year from Mike Rogers. He is the authority when it comes to Portland, Oregon wrestling. If you're in the Portland scene, come check those out. Wahoo McDaniel, Madman Pondo, Chris Candido, Tracy Smothers, Princess Victoria, a lot of great stuff.
Yeah. And matter of fact, of course, I've been watching Tales from the Territories, and they had, was it last week was the Portland episode?
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a side of wrestling that I never actually, saw in some of the territory stuff. So it's, not one they talk about very often. Of course, so many great people came out of the territory from Portland, Oregon. But yeah, they got away with some really cool, weird, and even more hardcore stuff before everybody was really doing hardcore stuff.
Yeah, Vicky, it was funny because Vicky was on the show, Princess Victoria, talking about it. And I saw a lot of people go, well, she was only there for a year. No. She grew up there. She went there. She was a teenager setting up chairs every week. Don Owen basically took her into his house at one point just to keep her off the streets and out of trouble. Not Don Owen, the trainer, Sandy Barr. She trained with those guys and she hung out with those guys. Buddy Rose made her the Battle Royal when she was the second to last person. She's got great stories about him, about Piper and all that. And I knew I didn't watch it, but I knew her episode had aired because all of a sudden people are buying Princess's books. So, and she's a great storyteller. I mean, she is. And I actually got to meet her in person for the first time this year. She came to a girl fight show in Jeffersonville. Another one of those like Tracy and Pondo. She's all about supporting the young generation. Every single girl there got her phone number or got her Facebook connection or whatever. She gave everybody criticism and feedback who wanted it. And just an awesome lady. So actually, I think she's booking now, and she's down in Oklahoma now. She's booking for somebody. So, awesome. Yep, great lady.
Yeah, and Princess Victoria has got such a great story when it comes to how she trained and learning to come up in wrestling, surviving Moolah.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh my gosh. You want to?
Not a Moolah fan, I'll tell you. She's not, but and with good reason. Moolah did not do her right. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ladies in wrestling who say Moolah did not do them right, and they would be accurate.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that again. Just buy John's Princess Victoria biography. I'm a wrestling fan. Just a woman in athletics in a time where basically it was not really accepted, and she found her way in and earned her way in. And
absolutely,
yeah. So there's great stories there. So, man, I'm going to let you go here because we're a little over the hour here. So that's good. That's a good show.
That's good.
All right. Well, you have yourself a good one, sir, and we will see you next time on the forum. We're going to plug some more books for you here. So, take care. All right. And you all have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Of course, we've got lots of good stuff we're going to talk about next week. I'm sure we'll figure out what that's going to be. Go out and see Black Panther 2 if you haven't done that yet. Watch the Guardian special on Disney Plus. It is wonderful, especially, of course, they do a lot of the Guardian stuff there, but, maybe if you remember a certain holiday special that was never aired again. Yeah. There may be a little reference to that as well. But either way, lots of great holiday fun out there. Go support small business tomorrow. Forget all the Black Friday shopping. Go support small business, including Dead Park Books. So you guys have yourself a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time on the Fanatic Forum. Bye.